So welcome to this video. It's been a while that I've been on the channel. Sorry about that. I have my reasons. But I figured everybody's doing reviews from their car, or I'm not sure why people are vlogging in their car. So I figured let's be different and review a few products on my bicycle. So if everything is correct, you can hear me. And we are taking a loop around the park to talk about what I'm going to do in the next few months, and also about the two products I'm now sort of using. So you will notice that this is a 3D video, so you can move in YouTube up and down, and on your phone I think you can even use the position of the phone to look to the side, below, etc, etc. So yeah, so what is going to happen? Basically, we all had difficult time, I guess, in the last 2 years. I had, yeah, even more problems. Let's leave it at that. And so I didn't have a lot of time. But it also made me think, and as a result, I've decided to take a sabbatical, which will be at least 1 year. That means I have a lot of time to travel, to visit people, to visit other photographers in the world, which I will do. But it also means that I can make more videos again and probably start up the Facebook group or restart the Facebook group for the setup tips, which still has about 25,000 members, I think. By the way, this is quite a nice part, so I'll slow down. You can look sort of to your right. And this is a nice park. And to the left you see benches. People can sit in the sun and wait until the sun is in the perfect location. So yeah, the idea is that I need to get into a better shape, better health shape, need to travel. So I decided to take a year off and I can make more videos. So but as part of that, that's also why we are now, I guess, doing a vlog on a bicycle. Oh, nice doggy. If you went back 20 seconds, you can see on the right, pretty nice view. So yeah, part of the thing that I'm doing is bicycling and walking a lot, and I figured it was fun to use something along the road over the summer, and also something that I can take with me on trips, which is small. Of course I have the big cameras, and I will for sure take the Sony A1 with me with all the lenses, but I also wanted something easy that you can, how would I say, not get distracted during an experience, right? How many times do you have that you're trying to film something but you don't see what's happening because things are happening on the left, on the right, and stuff like that. So the idea is pretty simple. You can use this camera I'm using now, which is really handy if you forget the name while you're on the bike, but the insta360oneX2, which is about $450. I mounted it on my bicycle steering wheel using quite a simple few parts. In this case, the part I'm using is sort of a clamp. If you want to, I can put it in the description. And a quick release from small rig so that I can very quickly connect the camera on top of it and take it off again. And it's not too small, and you can look down, and the weird thing is, if you look down, you can actually see the speed that we are now bicycling, which is about 20 kilometers an hour, which is very slow for me, but I didn't want to speed it up too much. But you can't see the camera because it automatically maps itself out, so we'll probably do that later. One thing I will try to do, I'm not sure if it will work in the first review, is put it on the sky. So the sky is blue anyway. So if you look up and maybe it has worked, then maybe I put a picture there of the camera on the bike and you can see it floating in the sky. But you have to look really, really up. So the second thing that we are using today, and the camera is really small, right? It's about half the size of your phone, a little bit thicker. So it's very something that you can put in your bag under a lens. So it's a very sort of nice extra second camera. So the second thing that we are testing is actually in my head. So if you turn the camera and you see I have a baseball hat on, let me first pass this person. She's also talking. So the good news is now people think that you're not crazy, you're just on the phone. But you see I have a baseball hat on, and in the baseball hat, on the back on the baseball hat, I have a small Bluetooth enabled, although it's fixed, so the Bluetooth is optional, Zoom f2 recorder. And it's so small that it can just be on the top of my head and in the cap. So I'm pointing now to it. So over here is the microphone. So I put it there so we have less wind noise. That's at least the idea. And it seems to be working quite well. If you go 25 kilometers an hour, you get quite a lot of wind. So this they will stop 99% of the time. So what you basically do is you clip on the recorder, which is a 32-bit recorder. So, oh, really nice view. Will slow down. And in fact, if you haven't, I will just stop for a second and show you. It's probably not doing too well with the sun, but you can see. Let me sort of pan around. Didn't think about that I could also do that. So I won't aim it directly at the sun. But the nice thing about it is that it's 32 bits instead of 16 bits, and 16-bit audio means that you only have 65,000 levels, and it means that you can quite easily clip your recording. Don't ask me why, because our game consoles have been 32 bits since the 80s, I guess, or the 90s. Forgot about it. But this recorder is 32 bit. And it does not. That means it doesn't have 65,000 levels, but it has 4 billion levels. And that means that you can basically talk as loud and as soft as you want without setting the gain. In fact, it doesn't even have a volume control. The only volume control that it has is basically for your output signal. So if you want to use your headphone, it uses a level so that you don't blow your ears out. But for the rest, you can't really overblow it. So even if I talk really loud, you should not be able to notice that. So that's basically the setup. Combined at the Bluetooth receiver, maybe further on I'll step off and show you the back of my head. Because there's one thing that you can't see. Is that it's $200 or euros for the Bluetooth version. You don't actually need the Bluetooth version, but it's handy because then if you look at my my steering wheel, I have room for my iPhone, and you can actually control and check the levels and do stuff like that. So for 50 euros more, I got the Bluetooth version. It's not mandatory, but it's handy. So that's basically on my head, and it's really quick to put on. I just put it on before I entered the park. And also the camera is really easy because of the quick release to put on. So let's continue biking. This is a really nice park. It's called the Maxima Park in Utrecht, named after our queen, our current queen. And yeah, it's quite nice, but it's kind of a weird park. It's sometimes very busy, sometimes it's, I wouldn't say deserted, but less busy. My guess is that the temperature now is fine, but a lot of people are on a holiday, so that might be the reason why it's not as busy. Actually, if you look at your left, you can see the shadow because the sun is still out a bit, and you can see the shadow. And on the steering wheel, you can actually see the camera. It's, I would call it semi-intrusive. The funny part is, kids notice it extremely quickly. Others don't, which I think is funny. So yeah, about the camera, you see the different bikes. Hello. See, they noticed that there was a camera. I think that's why they were saying hello. It was interesting that if I look back, they had a grown up. I think he was pregnant in the bike, in the front of the bike. So who knows? Maybe you can pull some nice pictures of it. I should sometimes look at the time because you want to keep this. I guess all my videos are long anyway, but we want to keep this a little bit short. Although we are biking around this park, so that's part of the fun, I guess. I'm a big fan of some of these YouTube videos. The only thing that they do, especially in our country, is just bicycle around and show you the video. Sometimes they overlay it with audio talking about what you are seeing and talk about the infrastructure, which I love. But they don't do it on the bike itself. And lazy being me, I figured if you can do it in one take, that might be interesting. So there's a really nice bridge, and normally I wouldn't do this, but what I will do, I will go to the left. I'm not sure this is the correct route. Yeah, I think so. So there's different paths. There's a Japanese garden here. There's a butterfly area. Mount. Mount. So you can see, I'm not sure if I will go over the bridge, but you can see people can place their bikes over here in these wooden sort of areas. Maybe I will bicycle through the Japanese part. So let me, if you didn't find the way to turn the video around, I'm now doing it for you. Interesting way to plan video, I guess. But there is all kinds of areas in this park. There are really two big swans over there. But I'm not going to show you that one today. So we're going to take this part and then we're entering, if my memory is correct, the Japanese part. This is more a walking area. And I'm not sure if the flowers are still out. Probably not. But a few weeks ago I took pictures here and it was quite lovely. Not sure if you're supposed to bike here, but oh, that answers your question. Now all the nice flowers are gone. Still looks pretty nice. And you can see there's water parts on your left and people are taking picnics. But maybe again, if it's really easy, don't kill me if they're not. I'll put some pictures on the sky of how it looks. Oh, there's a rabbit. And they let the rabbits are mostly, and that's quite sad, they just let them go and they live here. I'm not sure, they're not wild, so they are quite easy to touch, and kids, I wouldn't say hunt them down, but I try to pet them. So it's a mixed feeling of nice, but also, yeah, not really sure if it's meant that way. So we entered to our right, and we are now getting back on our main route. That was one of the small areas of the park. So not sure how long we are. So back to the review. So the idea of the 360 camera, I think all of them, and this is the smaller one, but it's really nice because it's watertight. You can actually use it 10 meters below water, so you can also take underwater shots. And yeah, it's small, but the downside, it only has sensors which are about the same size as in your phone, without the smartness, I guess. So the quality is, let's say, mixed. What is really good is stabilization. Because it has a 360 image, the stabilization is near perfect. Yeah, it just is extremely stable footage, which is one of the reasons I got it. Even if you just used the front view, it will be a good solution. So the picture that it takes is 6K max, so 5.7K video, um, but at a maximum of 30 frames per second. And I think for bicycling probably it's better to have 60p. So then the maximum is 4K. That sounds quite a lot, but it has to map that over the whole 360 degrees. So that means that this video will probably look pretty okay on YouTube, but it won't be perfect if you zoom in, which you can do. Not on YouTube because they don't support that feature, I think. Have not found it. But if you do a normal 3D viewer, you can zoom in and zoom out. Or even if you're editing, you can zoom in and zoom out. Then you see the pixelation quite well. So another thing which is interesting to note here, I'm exporting this to a file. So you flatten the file basically. Now you can do two things. So you can either in the software that they give you on for the phone, the Android, iPad works, iPhone works. The editor is quite cool. In fact, I think it's brilliant. It's a very nice editing system, but it does have a few limitations. So in the end, what I'm doing, because for example, I want to replace the audio with the 32 bits audio, which are now recording from my cab, because of course the camera has microphones, but they're now going into the wind, so there's quite a lot of wind noise, which we are trying to remove. So I load it up in Final Cut Pro, and then you turn on. I do a noise gate. I'm still fiddling around with how much I want to do that, and you use something called voice isolation, which means if you look at my power meter, I'm almost cycling by myself, and that means that I'm breathing because I'm not in that good of health. It also takes that stuff out, so it takes out the wind noise, but it also takes out my breathing. By the way, my tummy is big. It's way too big, but it's also distorted now. So one of the downsides, of course, of a 360 video is it uses fish eye lenses, and depending on how you work with the material, there's no way to resolve it. So things close by can look kind of funky, but that's life, I guess. So yeah, very. I like it quite a lot. What is also nice is that it has a small, so it's now sort of standing on my handlebar, and I can see what's recording because it has a round, which is quite funny, a round touchscreen that you can swipe with a quite an easy interface, so you can see what it's doing. Now I told you before I have an iPhone holder. Theoretically, I could also start up my iPhone and turn that on, so I can see if the audio is working correctly. But hopefully the zoom is so stable that once you turn it on, it has a lock on it, and you put the lock on. We assume that the microphone is doing what it's supposed to be doing. So you load it up in I load it up in Final Cut Pro, then I automatically sync the audio. It then becomes a flat file, so it and I have to be careful what I say now. So you have two options. In most of these programs, you either save it as a 360 file, or you save it as a flat file. And if you save it as a flat file, that basically means that you can't do the 3D stuff now on YouTube, but you have just used the 3D tool as an editor. So this is a good place to stop for a second. So you see the stone, that's actually part of an old Roman wall. And so 2000 years ago, and they now for fun rebuilt where we used to have a Roman fort. They built one, but I would like to call with small popsicle, ice popsicle sticks to signal where it was. Maybe I will visit that and then show you the inside. And when we continue, because we have to go the other way, you will also see later on a tower on your right, and that's also a Roman tower, and there's some information there. Now, the nice thing, and I'm going to test it now, so even if I hold down the bike pretty at an angle, so I'm now at 30 degrees, it should auto level because it's taking a 360 image, so the camera should automatically compensate for that. So, and if I turn, for example, here, there should be a dead area somewhere in my hand area. So if you can see it, you see a stitch, or it's over here. But it also means that you can now look at the sun. It's probably quite badly flaring because there's a limit what you can do for 450 euros. So there's an interesting mix between a tech review, I guess, and a vlog and talking about the neighborhood. So let's wait till the years pass. So the idea is that I will travel quite a lot. Of course, take all my my big gear, but combine that with stuff what I would like to call I can always put below a lens. So if I have like 4 lenses with me, there's enough space there to hide this recorder because it's so small, or to hide this camera. Not hide is the wrong word, but it can fit it there and fill up my bag. So. Of course, I've, as you know me, quite a few microphones and other stuff, but that's not the goal now. I'm sort of preparing myself for traveling more, and then, yeah, small stuff makes more sense. So I'm buying a new small microphones, recorders, and yeah, other fun stuff. So, as promised, you see here the little tower. So maybe I will do a second review because I did not do the get off the bike and show you the back of my head thing. So let me think if we still have a place to do that. I could do that here on the parking lot, but I think no. There's probably one more spot where we can do this. Let me see how long we have been biking. We have been biking for 35 minutes, so about 20 minutes in the recording would be my guess. So you can see that. Oh, this is also a local brewery called Brouwerij Maximus. Of course, this area they are using the Roman ideas, and if you slow down, you can see the people drinking outside and the boiling nice copper construction where they're making the beer. So if you're a beer fan, then that is it. So let me think where I can get off the bike to show you the back of my head. Which sounds weird, but of course we didn't talk a lot about the quality of, well, I guess we can go in here for a second. They would not mind, and turn around, and then I can show you. So get off the bike. So I'll model what basically you should not see. You should not be able to see. There's no way that I can show you the camera itself. Now it should automatically level, so if I put it like this, and my steering wheel does not, so I'm now in front of the lens, looking into the sun. So what you can see maybe over here, that the small mic is hidden. And of course, because yeah, the flap is basically like this, it holds the wind, or blocks the wind. I think it's working quite well. I think it takes away about 80%, 90% of the wind noise. And on the back of my head, I need to find, you see that the receiver should be there, or it is there, because otherwise I'm in trouble. And you can see that I can just clip it onto the baseball cap. You can see that I'm near bald. Oh, you can't see because I have a hat on, but otherwise you would have seen that I'm nearly bald anyway. On the back already. So let me see how long we are recording. We are recording for 25 minutes, so it won't even be the longest video that I ever made. I think getting off the bike is actually, I didn't think about this, but since we are recording a separate track, in the future we could do that. I will take a short way back to my home. We'll do it 5 minutes more and then let me see what I can come up with. So here we go again. I'm awaiting my new bike. So this bike is done pretty well. I'm quite happy with it. But the new bike is a little bit more me in its feature set that I want. So for example, sometimes you hear me click, or you see if you look at the steering wheel that you have selectors. And I wanted to have a more automatic system, so that it's less maintenance and stuff like that. So, but bikes are, especially electric bikes, are really tough to find, or they have a long order time. Now in the Netherlands, more electric bikes are being sold than normal bikes. And they are becoming more and more technical. They don't have any cameras built in, but who knows? So for now you have to add one yourself, like we are doing now. So normally I would, of course you can always talk about stuff that you see. Hopefully I'll try to, I'm not sure if you see it now, but you see these small little cars. These are electric cars bringing food to different places. Yeah. My mom used it in the last few years of her life. So normally I will continue further, but now I'm going to take a slightly more direct route home. So one thing which is nice, which you might have noticed maybe in the last few parts, that normally each of these bicycle paths, quite a few of them have these detection loops in the ground, and they detect the traffic, including bicycle people. So now not giving me the right of way, and it's red because the bus is coming, I'm pretty sure. Because it detects not only cars, but they also detect bicycles. And because so there's so many bicycles that they most of the time give the green to the bikes, if they can. And even nicer, that some of them have a rain detector on it, and if it's raining, it actually, no, that's buses that we are using. If it's raining, some of the lights go even quicker for bicycles, because they know that people will get wet. And they don't get wet in the car. No, the weird thing is have to wait quite long, which is maybe technology has broken down, or... Oh, there it is. So you see, if you look down, there's no detection loop here. On all the other parts, most of the time there is. Oh, here's one, see? If you look down, go back a few seconds, look down, you see the detection loops. Most of them, there are two after each other, so that they can figure out if you're riding the correct direction, but also how many there are, how quick people are biking, stuff like that. So, it gave a blink and stopped. So I guess it also, this mode has a 30-minute limit. So either I will still put this on, or the ending of the clip is fairly weird. If that's the case, then I was too lazy to put on the last part. If I'm less lazy, you will hear this and I can say goodbye, and hopefully you enjoyed this first technical review of, in this case, the Insta360 insta360oneX2. Please, companies come up with better names. And the Bluetooth enabled, although you don't need it. But lavalier is included. Recorder, the Zoom F2 Bluetooth, which is 200, and the one without Bluetooth is 150. So it's too far away, but I see a hot weather balloon, which are coming over here quite a lot. A few weeks ago, one almost crashed into my home. If you want, maybe I will put again a picture of that in the sky. I'm not sure how to do that in Final Cut, but if I can make it happen, I will make it happen. So, yeah, thank you for watching, and hopefully in the next few months, I've got a lot of new stuff which I bought over the last year. I'm not sure if I will review it because there's so many reviews already out, but I might make videos about how you can hack them or use them. I might also continue asking the Facebook group again about what kind of things, what kind of videos, old videos, so some of them are 4 or 5 years old, and what I explained is still valid, but the menus have changed. So I'm thinking about redoing them and then updating the menu system so that it's more clear what's happening. So the funny part is that normally I don't bicycle so slow, so that's an interesting thing. So anyway, have a nice day. I hope you enjoyed this first tech review, not in a car, but on a bike, in 360. Trying to find a weird combination that I can talk while exercising. Okay, bye bye and see you next time.